Thank you and good morning, everyone. On our News Extra today, I have Staff Sergeant Edward Alvizar with the Nebraska Army National Guard, and we're here talking about the Guard and recruiting, which this has got to be one of the busy times of the year, correct?
Absolutely. I mean, we're busy all year, but yes, it's very busy during this time of the year.
Let's talk a little bit about the mission of the Nebraska Army National Guard. Kind of a dual role, really, when it comes to being involved in state and then possibly active military service if needed.
Absolutely. So with the National Guard, we are a unique service because, one, we serve the community we live in, but we also serve the United States of America.
Okay, and of course, when you're serving the communities that you live in, under the watch and control of the governor of a respective state, and in this case, Pete Ricketts. And, it's one of those things where it's not a full-time commitment necessarily. You might first start out with the training being full-time, but once that's done, talk a little bit about that and how that works.
That's correct. So once you've completed that initial training, your only obligation is that 1 week in a month and then 2 weeks in the summer. So what that does is, a majority of our soldiers are, already hold civilian jobs or in college, so they're going to college full-time. So what that allows them to do is to continue whatever goals they have and then only serve that part-time service.
Okay. And you yourself happen to be a native of the area, as I understand it. How long have you been in recruiting for the National Guard, and just give a little bit of your background, if you would.
So I'm from Mitchell. I graduated from Mitchell High School.
Mm-hmm.
I joined the Guard straight out of high school as a diesel mechanic. I did that for about 8 years. Went over to military police because that's what the Scottsbluff unit is now, a military police. And I was only that for about 6 months. A recruiting opportunity came available, so I was an assistant recruiter here in the Scottsbluff area. That's how I started off, and then I was the recruiter in North Platte for the last 2 years, and I'm currently in transition back here to Scottsbluff.
Now that kind of points out that there are a variety of opportunities when it comes to the Army National Guard that somebody can actually specialize in as they move forward, correct?
Yes, that is absolutely correct.
What type of things do we have? Of course, you mentioned the MPs, the police force here, but what other opportunities are there throughout the state?
So that's something great that a lot of people don't know about. Obviously here we have the military police, but we have over 100 jobs that are available in the Nebraska Army National Guard. So whether you plan on staying here local or you plan on traveling east for college or whatever the case may be, we have hundreds of different job opportunities available to you. Like I said, military police, transportation, administrative, you name it, we probably got it.
Mm-hmm. And there is a difference, however, between National Guard and active duty military. Talk a little bit about that difference.
Yeah, so the best way for me to explain it is talk about the similarities first. So we both fall underneath the Department of the Army. Our uniforms both say United States Army. Mm-hmm. That's because we go to the exact same training. Our basic training and advanced individual training is the exact same. Where we're different is once we've completed that training, they go off to their full-time military base, and that's what they do full-time. We come back to the state of Nebraska, and our only obligation is that 1 weekend a month and then 2 weeks in the summer. So that's how we're different, is they're full-time, and we're just that part-time force unless we're called up.
Unless you're called up for active duty. Now, there are some requirements if somebody is interested in taking part in the Army National Guard, as well as quite a few benefits. And we're going to come back in just a moment and talk a little bit with Staff Sergeant Alvizar about those details. We'll be right back. And we're back this morning on News Extra, and my guest is Staff Sergeant Edward Alvizar with the Nebraska Army National Guard, a native. So I do have to say welcome back to the neighborhood. What makes someone eligible for service in the National Guard?
Minimum requirements is the age of between 17 and 35 years old with no prior service, a U.S. citizen or a permanent resident, and then you've got to meet physical and medical requirements and then also complete a background check. And those are kind of case-by-case basis. Okay,
and of course, a lot of people worry about the physical requirements. Am I going to be able to make the grade when it comes to the physical requirements? This is something that the National Guard does help out with.
Absolutely, yes. So we don't expect you to fully be qualified as far as the physical aspect when someone joins. That's something we start training you and start building you on when you enlist. We have what's called a recruit sustainment program. So when someone enlists, they're into that program and they start doing those monthly drills in preparation for basic training. So we start training you and everything you're going to learn at basic training.
Okay. Now you mentioned 17-year-olds. Does that mean somebody in high school could actually serve in the National Guard?
Yes, that's another way we're unique. Is we offer 17-year-olds, as long as you're a junior in high school and 17 years old, you can enlist. And the reason we offer that is we have what's called split option training, where a junior can enlist, go to basic training between their junior and senior year, come back, finish up their senior year, and then complete the other half of their training once they've graduated. And that keeps them in line, so if they're on their way to college, they don't have to miss that first semester of college.
And I would imagine that's something that would require parental agreement and signature saying yes, they can sign.
Absolutely.
Now, of course, we've been talking about some of the duties of the National Guard, but there are benefits that are available when you do serve, and talk a little bit about those.
Absolutely. So obviously the most popular benefit, I guess I could say, is tuition assistance. So college isn't cheap, and we do help pay for it. We will pay up to 100% of any accredited school. We even pay to some private colleges. Kind of just depends on where you go to school. It's going to determine how much we pay for. That's just one of the bets. Obviously, we have. Can I just restart?
You got eligibility to maybe go to the military PX when you're around. Are those things that are available as well, or is that more active duty?
No, that we have access to those as well. We get a military ID card, so we have access to any military installation, just like active duty does as well.
And of course, that also means that if there's somebody that is giving discounts to military members, you're going to be eligible for that as well. So there are definite benefits to joining the National Guard. We were talking a little bit about college, and that higher education for somebody who maybe is going through college or has completed college. If they decide to go to the National Guard, that actually helps open up some pathways for them in the National Guard, correct?
Yes, absolutely. They'll have some different options that might not be available to someone who doesn't have that. So depending on how many credits you have and what type of degree, whether it's an associate's or a bachelor's degree, will determine what you're eligible for. But one of the common ones is a higher rank. You get to enlist at a higher rank just right off the bat. And if you have a bachelor's degree, what that opens up is a chance to become an officer, because having a 4-year degree is a requirement to become an officer.
Yeah, and so that definitely does open more doors when it comes to that, and of course pay and rank and everything else that goes with it. Now, if somebody is interested in joining the National Guard, how do they do so?
So you can reach us a variety of ways. Easiest is our office is at the Nebraska Army National Guard Armory, which is across the street across the park from the high school. Big red building, you can't miss it. You can also reach me via telephone at 308-631-6705. And then we're all over social media. So, you can simply search Nebraska Army National Guard. We have a Facebook page, an Instagram page, and you can reach out to our marketing department by sending them messages, and they'll answer any questions you have.
Very easy to do so if somebody is interested in finding out. And of course, I can imagine that you're also going to be available perhaps at job fairs, high school, job fairs, things such as that. This is the time of year when those things actually start to creep up.
Absolutely. We like to get as involved as we can, so we like to show our face whenever we get the opportunity to.
All right, Staff Sergeant Alvizar, thank you very much for joining us today on News Extra.